Interstate 75. It's an awesome road and it goes quite a long way. Today we're going to talk about northbound I-75, and we will not be to this point for quite some time. It is a long road up from Florida. Let's take a look at the route of I-75. We are starting in the outskirts of Miami today and going all the way up to Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan at the Canadian border. Buckle up. You're watching Control City Freak. This is the YouTube channel where we talk about interstate highways and the places that they are signed to go to. If you dig this kind of content, why not give us a like? And if you're really into it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Alright, as I said, today we're going to talk about northbound I-75. Northbound I-75 kind of comes out of the ether. It's a little bit weird, and here is our first sign for it. 75 North Naples, even though Naples is going to be due west of where we are at the moment. And here on Florida Turnpike 924, I don't know why all the Florida big state highways are all 3-digit numbers, it's really confusing. We have 75 North Naples coming out of here as well. So here we are actually on 75, and we get the first reassurance shield on 75 proper. We're coming to the 595 interchange, 595 signed east for Fort Lauderdale, and 75 is signed north, although it's really going west, Alligator Alley. Here's a look at the toll booth when we get onto Alligator Alley. Here's a view of a random exit. This is kind of interesting. It almost looks like there's a bunch of flies in the picture or something. This road is so dark at night. They build a ton of lights at the interchanges, but outside of the interchanges, it is pretty dark. Here in Naples, we see 75 is now signed north for Tampa, which is sensible. Tampa on the bottom line here, 148 miles away. We meet 275. 275 is signed north for St. Petersburg, 75 for Tampa. 275 will take you to Tampa, but going through St. Pete, it takes a little bit longer and you have to pay a toll. Oy, well, here's the real beginning of the pain in Florida. North 75 Ocala for reasons. I have no idea why they pick Ocala. Here we meet I-4 and we meet a running theme. We have no pull through for I-75 at this intersection, which happens all too much on this road. I don't know why it happens. So many states do it this way on this road. And Florida is serious. Ocala is the primary control. We're putting it on the bottom line. Again, no idea. Why not Gainesville or Atlanta? They stick to the bit. Ocala 26. I have been off at this interchange before, Ocala Williston. I wasn't going to Ocala, I was in fact going to Williston, where I got certified for scuba diving way back in the day in this sinkhole. It was pretty cool. Oh no, we're going from bad to worse. Now instead of Ocala, we are now signed for Lake City. You know, Gainesville is not too far up the road. We do get a Gainesville sign. Florida does change it up from time to time on the signs, but Lake City is still the primary control on most signs. Here we get another sign for Lake City. Now in Lake City, we now get 75 North Valdosta, and we're meeting I-10 for Jacksonville and Tallahassee. Feel like it should just be Atlanta from this point. Florida sticks with Valdosta though, so we get it in 54 miles. Welcome to Georgia, I-75's second state. Right away in Georgia, we do get a sign for Valdosta, Macon, and Atlanta, so the three major control cities of Georgia all showing up there, but we don't see anything for Atlanta for quite some more time. As we can see here in Valdosta, we get 75 North Macon. And on the highway itself, Macon is on the bottom line. Here on the outskirts of Macon, we meet 475. 475 is signed for Atlanta since it is the bypass around Macon. 75 North for Macon and Savannah for I-16. Here in Macon, we now finally get I-75 North Atlanta. Here's the interchange with I-16, signed for downtown Macon and Savannah. I don't know why this I-75 sign is so small, that's kind of weird. We are now 65 miles outside of Atlanta, so we will be hitting these suburbs soon. In fact, here is kind of an exurb 3-digit interstate 675. It's signed for Augusta and Greenville for I-85 and I-20. And now we meet 285. 75 is signed for downtown Atlanta. 285 as Atlanta bypass. So we don't get control cities on 285, at least until you get off at this junction, and then you will have them once you have the choice of east or west 285. In fact, here's what it looked like not too long ago. This same sign, North 75 downtown Atlanta, 285 west Birmingham, Chattanooga, 285 east Augusta, Greenville. So again, we're getting I-20 and I-85's control cities along with 75 for one of them. Here is where we meet I-85. We do not have the option to go southbound on I-85 here. And we come into Atlanta, heading into central Atlanta. We now have the interchange for I-20, which is signed for Birmingham and Augusta. Here's a nice look at downtown Atlanta. I like this freeway in downtown Atlanta, but I've never actually driven it northbound. I've only done it southbound, but I have done it southbound a number of times. Go figure. Here's another look at downtown Atlanta. 75 and 85 are splitting now, so 75 is signed for Marietta and Chattanooga. So Marietta is a very large suburb of Atlanta, so it does make sense for Marietta to be signed here. As long as we get Chattanooga too, I'm okay with it. We're meeting 285 again, and now 285 is signed for Birmingham, Montgomery, and Greenville, Augusta. So again, we're getting 85 and 20 as control cities. Now we meet 575, another suburban Atlanta 3-digit interstate that's well outside of the Beltway, and 75 is signed north for Chattanooga, which is the correct choice. Outside of the Atlanta suburbs, we now get sign for Dalton, 59. So we're not getting Chattanooga on this particular sign, but we do get it on most. In fact, here at this random intersection, we get Chattanooga and Knoxville straight ahead. So that road's going to Tennessee. Chattanooga, 70. And welcome to Tennessee. Tennessean is 10 to believe it. We are now signed 75 North Knoxville here in Chattanooga, with 24 signed for Chattanooga and Nashville, which I mentioned in the 24 video is a great way to sign it, since we aren't quite to Chattanooga yet, but Nashville, of course, is much more substantial, so it's good to put Nashville on there too. Here is the actual split with I-24 and I-75. Cleveland, only 12. Wow, time warp. And Knoxville, 93. Here we meet I-40, and 40 gets West Nashville, and 75 will be concurrent with 40 for a little bit, so we get 40, 75, Knoxville. At interchanges onto this concurrency, this is what it looks like. East 40, North 75, Knoxville. Now 75 and 640 are concurrently leaving I-40 before getting to downtown Knoxville, and they will be signed for Lexington. I-75 exits 640 and is signed for Lexington. I almost wonder why they didn't route 75 down to 75, or maybe they used to, so that 75 could go kind of more downtown Knoxville. We're now 157 to Lexington, and welcome to Kentucky. Lexington, 101. It's kind of a weird sign. I-64, 7.25 miles. Kind of a random length. We are meeting I-64, which is annoyingly signed for Winchester and Ashland. Should be Huntington and Charleston, I think, instead. And we get North 75, West 64, Louisville, Cincinnati. Here is the actual intersection with I-64, and now they split. So we're now signed for 75 North Georgetown, Cincinnati. Well, as long as Cincinnati is on there, I suppose shouldn't complain too much. At interchanges, we do see Cincinnati is the choice. And now we are meeting I-71. I-71 south for Louisville, and it's going to be North 75 and 71 together to Cincinnati. 75 and 71 no hazmats because of the Brent Spence Bridge in its current condition. Hazmat's got to get on 275 around Cincinnati. We're still in Kentucky, and we are approaching the Brent Spence Bridge, and we see 75 Dayton, 71 no control city given. Wonder why they don't say Columbus or downtown Cincinnati. And here we are. We saw this on the I-71 video. Same picture, in fact. The current condition of the Brent Spence. 71 and 75 will now split once we are on the Ohio side, and there is no Welcome to Ohio sign currently, at least on current Street View. We meet I-74, 4 miles up, which is signed for Indianapolis, 75 still for Dayton. North 75 left 3 lanes, we got 275. With control cities, Indianapolis, Columbus, 274 or 271. Wow. And now we see Dayton is 24 miles away. South of Dayton, we meet 675, which is signed for Columbus, and that's because it meets I-70. And here's a look at downtown Dayton. After all our Dayton signage on I-70, we finally see the city. Here's another look. 75 goes right through the middle of town. And not surprisingly, we are now on 75 North Toledo. We meet I-70, which is signed for Indianapolis and Columbus, and 75 still Toledo. Now we're at Toledo, 138 miles away. I don't know why they don't say Bowling Green instead of US 6 here. Here we get Bowling Green just a little bit beyond US 6, and the exit for Bowling Green. Shout out to my buddy Eric, who went to Bowling Green State and runs a pretty cool YouTube channel himself. And now we have the split for 475. 75 still north for Toledo. We do get Detroit on there as well, though. I don't know why they always seem to do this with the Ohio Turnpike and the Indiana Toll Road, but we don't get a pull-through sign. We just get one of these to the side overheads with one panel, and 8090 Perrysburg first billing there, which is weird, and just Ohio Turnpike. We can see a little bit further down, once that traffic is separated, 80 and 90 are signed for Cleveland and Chicago. You think those would take precedent over Perrysburg on that sign, but And you see, if you do get off of that interchange, you are not actually committed to get on the toll road, as you can come back to I-75. Here's a look at downtown Toledo, with 75 now signed north for Detroit. We meet 475 and 75 still signed for Detroit. 280 for Cleveland, 75 North Detroit, and welcome to Michigan, the final state of I-75. Pretty soon into Michigan, we get 75 North Detroit, and 275 is signed for Flint as it bypasses Detroit. Coming closer into central Detroit, we now are meeting West 96, which has an interchange that leaves well before the actual road does. There's a long Jersey barrier that separates the two carriageways of roads. Here we get Bridge to Canada. You can see we are now on 75 North Flint. We get a look at Ford Field, the home of the Detroit Lions, right as we go down 75 here. And now we meet I-94, the Ford Freeway. Fords everywhere in Detroit. Big surprise. 94 for Chicago Port Huron, 75 still for Flint. And now we meet 696 for Lansing and Port Huron, 75 still Flint. Flint has the bottom line on the mileage signs. And now we meet 475 for downtown Flint, 75 now signed for Saginaw. We meet I-69 here for Lansing and Port Huron, 75 still for Saginaw. And here's an interesting, kind of famous control city here. We get Mackinaw Bridge as our control city. We don't get a city listed for the next 200 miles or so on the bottom line. You can see it interchanges and overheads still. North 75, Mackinaw Bridge. Here's another one at 185, and it's small interchanges, same deal. Mackinaw Bridge. They're serious about it. Approaching the Mackinaw Bridge, we get some road that is hilariously substandard. We have basically a straight up right turn coming up here, 15 miles per hour. Last exit before the bridge toll. Here is that exit. And we get onto the Mackinaw Bridge, as we saw at the beginning of this episode, and you can see it's definitely not interstate standard either. That's definitely not a standard median. Cool looking bridge though. I'd like to drive across it for sure sometime. And now we get the toll. We get Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Wow. And welcome to Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Almost like a whole state welcome sign for getting to the UP here. Once we're on this side of the bridge, we are now signed for Sault Ste. Marie. Sault Ste. Marie 50 is not much up there in the Upper Peninsula. They don't even have two cities signed. In the Sault Ste. Marie area, we now get the last exit before fare, because maybe they charge you to go into Canada. Canada's got a cover charge, I suppose. Here is U.S. immigration leaving to head over to Canada. And we get a long series of bridges. They're all two-lane bridges, so we're not on I-75 anymore, going over the Soo Locks here, which is pretty cool looking. Here's a look at the locks here as we cross this bridge. And finally, we cross the border into Canada. We have the two flags side by side here. So that is where we will end this episode. Alright, let's do a bit of Todd's The Way It Should Be for Northbound I-75. The way it should be for Northbound I-75 is north, Tampa, straight up from the beginning. Why bother with Naples? Gainesville, University of Florida, bigger than Ocala, like 30 miles further, no brainer. And then I think you should go straight to Atlanta. No Lake City, and there's no reason to sign like Valdosta or Macon from Florida. So sign Atlanta, then Chattanooga, Knoxville, Lexington, Cincinnati, Dayton, Toledo, Detroit, Flint, Saginaw, and out of Saginaw, I don't think I'd sign the Mackinaw Bridge. I'd just sign Sault Ste. Marie. It's 50 miles further and sign an actual city. Why not? Alright, thank you so much for watching this episode of Control City Freak. I have really enjoyed going through I-75. It's a very interesting road, and when I think 75, I really think more I-75 southbound. It's more the road to Miami than from Miami, so I saved that for next time. Next time we are going to talk about southbound I-75, which is going to be even more awesome. Alright, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. My name is Todd, and keep on trucking.